Hello, and welcome to AFSPA Live, our monthly digital broadcast designed to give AFSPA members and eligible federal employees a place to ask questions and get answers about past AFSPA Talks topics, their benefits, and wellness needs. You can ask your question through the chat box on whichever social media platform you're streaming AFSPA Live, YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. If you're not able to join us live, call our toll-free line prior to the broadcast at 888-435-0757 and leave our team a voice message that we may play back and answer live on air. Just tell us who you are and the question you'd like us to answer. I'll see you at the next AFSPA Live.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to AFSPA Live, a live video broadcast Q&A session that we host every last Thursday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Maddie Norton, and I'm excited to be moderating this show today. I'm a communication coordinator at AFSPA, and today we are discussing how to make the most of your AFSPA membership. And with us, as always, is CEO Kyle Longton. How are you today, Kyle?
Hey, Maddie, I'm doing all right. I'm excited. I think we've got some of our newest members with us and some of our longer term folks, and we're happy to answer their questions and, offer, if there's a lull, offer some tips on things that may not have been asked about.
Exactly. I'll kind of start off with an easy question, a great question we got from Eric. They asked, how well are you coping with the anticipated expanded AFSPA membership? And you may be asking, how does he know that? We think Eric is a fan of the CEO message or podcast because we mentioned it there.
I appreciate that. Eric, thank you for the question. I have really good lighting where I am, so you can't see the dark circle. No, we did experience during open season about 8.5% growth in the foreign service benefit plan. That's just enrollee numbers. And I think the majority of those enrollments were in the family enrollments, which is great. And we love families. We love being able to offer services and support to people of all ages. But it was certainly more than we anticipated. 8.5%. It was a record double what we've seen in any year in the past. And we're very excited. And our team, our colleagues, and the folks live here supporting us are working tirelessly to make sure that we're answering member questions, to get responses, to make sure that you have what you need. We also, I'm very glad to say, 5 new folks started this week. They're training. And we've got more in the pipeline, resumes as of right now, but we'll be bringing more people on board so that we can maintain our own expectations, but also our members' expectations when it comes to answering questions. Our team at Aetna is also, they handle the claims processing. They're staffing up to handle both stateside and overseas claims. So we're excited. You may be waiting a little bit longer for on the phone. You may be waiting a little bit longer for an email response. We do have a callback option when you call in. If you don't want to wait online, you will get a call back typically within 1 business day. And we do have folks staying until sometimes 8 o'clock at night to clear those. Really dedicated. And I just encourage you, please be patient with us. We are doing our best to get to you as soon as possible. And we're even doing some reorganizing within internally to make sure things work a little bit better. But we're very excited, but we appreciate your patience as we do get caught up a little bit.
Absolutely. And I'll kind of go into an easier segue before we hit some of the hard-hitting questions. A lot of people, especially if they've just joined or if they've been members for a while, we throw around a lot of acronyms, and it can be confusing to understand, what is FSBP, what is AFSPA,
Sure.
What is Aetna. So
Yep.
Can you kind of explain the difference between the 3, how they're all involved? I think that'd be great for.
Yeah, I can do my best. How's
Yeah.
that? So AFSPA, the American Foreign Service Protective Association, is the association that when you join any of our plans, you become a member of. We are a 501c9, which is a voluntary employee beneficiary association, but that is the legal entity, essentially. That's what it has on our paychecks, our business cards, and so forth. One of these products that we offer to our members is the Foreign Service Benefit Plan. Now, the Foreign Service Benefit Plan is available under contract with the federal government. That's why it's only available to federal employees, annuitants, and their eligible dependents. So that is, we are the carrier, we are the underwriter. The Foreign Service Benefit Plan is what's known as a self-insured plan. So the risk falls on AFSPA at the end of the day. Now, we partner with a number of other organizations, primarily Aetna and Express Scripts. Aetna is what we call the plan administrator. So what does that mean? That means that they process the claims. They handle actually the provider customer service. They also, we use their provider network stateside. And so they provide a number of services for the Foreign Service Benefit Plan. And we have been working with the same team at what is now Aetna since the plan was founded in 1942. AFSPA goes back to 1929, Foreign Service Benefit Plan 1942, but originally it was Mutual of Omaha, then Coventry, and now Aetna. But it's the same team has moved through all of those mergers, and some of the folks have been working on FSBP claims for upwards of 30 years. And we're very fortunate to have their experience. But you do log into let me cover the third partner, which is Express Scripts. They are our pharmacy benefit manager. They help us administer the pharmacy benefits. They process pharmacy claims. We use their pharmacy network stateside. That also means that there are multiple websites to log into. And I don't think we prepared for this, but if we can put up the link to the explanation of the 3 different portals from our website. You've got the AFSPA member portal. This is one account per enrollment for the Foreign Service Benefit Plan. It's tied to the enrollee and the email address we have on file for you. That's where you can go in and update your contact information, submit your claims, and also engage with our ancillary insurance programs, enroll there, pay your premiums for those programs, and so forth. On the Aetna website, you can use that to track the status of your claims, track the status of your payments that are coming back to you, and also engage in the wellness programs. And I think we'll have some time to talk about that a little bit later. The Express Scripts is where you can manage your prescription. So you use that link that's on the screen. Thank you to the magicians behind the scenes for getting that up. That explains the 3 different portals, provides you a link. And actually, once you sign up for the member portal and register for each of the other 2, in the member portal, you should be able to find a single sign-on that will take you directly into the other portals. And with the Aetna and Express Scripts, other family members can have their own account. You can link them so you can see each other's information, but they are there. And we've got some demos to show you how those accounts, those portals work. So take a look at those.
Yes. And to start us off, we will start with a tough question, but a good one. What mental health benefits are available for members who may be impacted by any changes made to gender affirming care coverage?
Yeah. So very certainly a timely current question. I would say that the mental health benefits have not changed from years past. Essentially, there is no limit to mental health visits. You can go to a network provider, you can go to an out-of-network provider, you can go to an overseas provider. We will pay the benefits based on the provider's network status. So even if you're overseas and you have a relationship with a mental health provider or any other provider for that matter in the United States, and they're willing to provide care to you through a telemedicine setup, we will pay those claims the same as we would if you had an in-person visit. And beyond that, we do have some special programs that are out there. We do have telehealth. Now, telehealth is offered through our designated vendors and covered at 100%. And for our stateside members, you can access that through Teladoc Health, and that offers primary care, virtual primary care, general medicine, dermatology, nutritional services, and mental health. You can make an appointment. You can have an ongoing relationship. When you're overseas, we will be offering a program through our partnership with Lyra Health, Lyra. Now we've had a little bit of trouble getting that program fully implemented. Everything should be on track. I'm anticipating next week. You can find the information there on how to do that, or you can download the apps for these programs from the App Store through your iOS or through Google Play. And these programs Teladoc Health, Lyra Health are offered at no cost to members. And again, there's no limit on the services. For members overseas, if Lyra is not quite right for you, if you're looking for something else, we do also work closely with a group called the Truman Group that specializes in providing mental health services for expats. And we actually will have a podcast with them coming up in the next month or so. But you can find their information there. I feel comfortable sharing that information because they have been recommended by the Bureau of Medical Services in the past to people who are part of the State Department medical program. We also offer a program that's sort of self-directed. You can use it as you wish, called My Strength. And the information is there on the screen. My Strength is available to folks age 13 and older. You do work at your own pace. It is based on cognitive behavioral therapy and a number of other approaches to mental health support. So take a look, find what works for you. And it may be in-person care, in which case you can find a in-network provider. Or as I said, we do have added network benefits for physical and for mental health. So do find what works for you, utilize that, even look to your employing agency if you're still employed, find out if they have any kind of employee assistance program, something like that may be able to provide some support.
Absolutely. And I will go ahead and ask a similar question about mental health. I know you just mentioned what specifically are just those services you can get overseas, mental health services for those overseas, just because I know a lot of people have asked.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just to recap, I mean, you can have in-person counseling services if you feel like those are available in your location overseas. You can engage through a telemedicine visit, through a HIPAA compliant platform, got to say that part, with a provider in the States or even outside of your location. Maybe you're in Europe, but you've got a provider you've used in the past in Australia. You want to continue that relationship. That's okay. Again, we will pay for those visits the same as we would if it were an in-person visit based on the provider's network status or overseas status. You can also utilize Lyra Health. That should be online starting next week. I apologize for the delay. And then we also offer My Strength. That is available worldwide. And those are the main programs that are available when you're overseas. Lyra, in-person or telemedicine counseling, or the My Strength program, which is there for support.
Got it. And along the same lines of, the gender affirming care, we did get a question asking, can you talk about the coverage for it, including surgeries for members of all ages in light of the new executive orders? And will existing surgical appointments and consultations be covered?
Sure. Austin, thank you for this question. It's a tough one to ask, and it's a tough position to be in, to be considering these. And I know from folks we've talked with this week, you're not alone in asking that and having to consider these things. So let me just talk a little bit about the benefits that the coverage that we have. And this is the coverage that we have. I have to say right now, it's January 30th, about 11:15 a.m. As we're recording this, these are the benefits that we have right now per the brochure. You can refer to the 2025 FSBP brochure. They're outlined in there. We do cover mental health counseling related to any kind of gender dysphoria or related diagnosis. So that those benefits are in place. We do cover hormone therapy as when it's prescribed, of course. And then we have a range of surgical benefits. I do want to note that surgical benefits, whether you're seeking surgical services in the U.S. or overseas, do require prior approval. That is one of the few benefits we have that does require prior approval when you're outside the United States. So all of that is outlined in Section 5B as in boy of the 2025 brochure. I do want to say that our benefits are in line with past guidance that we have received from OPM, as well as recommendations that have come out from WPATH, which was also provided to us as a guide from OPM in years past. So that is where services are right now. Within the FEHB, as of this moment, there has not been any restriction that has come through on services of any age or any kind. Should that change, we will update our information online as soon as we have clarity on that. I do anticipate in 2026, based on an executive order, we're still waiting on clear guidance, that those services will no longer be available to people under the age of 19, according to the language in the executive order. In terms of existing surgical appointments and consultations, if you have those scheduled in the future and guidance comes through changing coverage, I can't say. It will somewhat depend on the language of the carrier letter, the legal opinion we can get, and so forth, to provide that. But we will do our best to stay on top of that. I won't say we can stay ahead of that. We will stay on top of that as any guidance comes through, and do our best to keep members informed. I would encourage you to stay in touch with your care manager, who's assigned for prior approval purposes, who you've probably been working with. And they will have the latest. We'll make sure that any information we have flows through to them as quickly as possible. So thank you for that question.
Yes. And if you're, as we know, the orders and changes can happen hourly, day by day. So if you want to keep up with us, obviously you're here watching live or after this has been posted. So definitely check out our social media channels. And also if anything does happen that would affect your plan, you will be getting an e-blast from us, or it'll be posted to the newsfeed on our website, AFSPA.org. And if you're looking for the brochure, because I do know we got some questions about that, that is once again on our website, AFSPA.org. And if you go to the plans drop down, you can find all forms and brochures in the very last little part that says forms and brochures. And if you're a new member as well, there's a whole entire section for you there. So with step-by-step on how to get your ID card, get registered and everything like that. So be sure to check that out. If you are new or just want to read up on some things. And then we will jump to a question about, I know it's the new year, people are thinking about getting their health, getting in better physical and mental health. And so obviously people are joining gyms or, even starting therapy and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Good.
Exactly. We do love that. So we did get a question from Dana asking if prescribed by a doctor, does FSBP cover fitness memberships or a portion of them?
Unfortunately, we do not. And under the FSBP high option plan, fitness memberships, personal training services, things like that are not covered. They're not considered covered health benefits. And so we are not able to cover them to offer wellness incentives. You also can't get reimbursed for them through a flexible spending account through an FSA. We do have access to the Silver Sneakers program for those members who are enrolled in the Medicare Advantage plan, the FSBP Aetna Medicare Advantage plan. And so good question. That is the only Silver Sneakers is covered. That is also our only approved way for coverage of any kind of fitness program. You can find out more information there at afspa.org/Medicare. We are also planning once again this year Medicare March, and we'll plan to cover those programs, Medicare Advantage, the Medicare prescription drug program, and all manner of things Medicare related in programs in March. But to get back to the original question, unfortunately, no. Even when it's doctor prescribed, you're welcome to contact us and discuss possibilities. But generally speaking, and officially per the brochure, no.
All right. And you already answered the question about silver sneakers. We do cover that through the Medicare Advantage plan. And like Kyle said, go to AFSPA.org/Medicare, or wait till March when we'll have a bunch of new content coming your way. Next question. We got a question from Leah asking, does AFSPA offer a list of certified medical translators? If we hire a private medical translator for their services, such as appointment scheduling, in-person translations, can we get reimbursed for it?
And again, unfortunately, no, we do not have a list of certified medical translators and translation services, whether in person, when you're going to visits, over the phone, translating documents for your purposes. None of those are not covered services under the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program and under Foreign Service Benefit Plan. if you submit it, you can submit claims to us. I know this isn't exactly the question you're asking. I just want to go a step further. If you submit claims to us in another language, you don't need to translate them into English. We do ask that you give us some basic details when you're submitting those claims, like what was the reason, what was the service you received, what was the reason you received it. So earache, saw a doctor, got a prescription. You can submit that in. And we'll take care of the translation if we need to translate it for our purposes for claims processing. But unfortunately, translation is not a covered service.
Yes. And we got a question, lots of questions about retirement, and on the same thing of, we were previously talking about Medicare. We did get a question saying, I'm retired and live overseas. I'll be turning 65 soon. Does OPM Retirement Services continue to pay a portion of my premiums after turning 65? And will AFSPA continue to provide coverage to me after I turn 65?
Sure. And I think we modified this question just a little bit to take out some of the specifics to protect identity in this case. But so great question. Congratulations if the retirement was recent or whenever it was. So OPM, I take it you're civil service retiree, and OPM retiree office is your retirement office. And it sounds from your question like you continued your health insurance, your federal health insurance into retirement, and the federal government is continuing to pay a portion of that. And assuming all those things are in place and you're eligible to continue and so forth, then yes, the benefit does continue into retirement. The government continues to pay its portion of the premium into retirement for you. It varies a little bit based on self plus one or family, as it does for active employees, just what the percentage is. But they do continue paying that into retirement. Turning age 65 does not affect their continuing payment for that. It also does not in any way change your eligibility to continue your FSBP coverage. So if you're enrolled with us, you can continue that. We're excited to continue to have you, but your coverage doesn't change. There is no requirement under the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program that people, when they become eligible for Medicare, have to take Medicare, especially if you're overseas. The Postal Service Health Benefits Program, different, new. We're not participating in that program. I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole on here or even in March. But you are not required to take Medicare. We do not. Your premium doesn't change whether you have Medicare or not. And so if you're overseas, I think this person you've identified in their email, they don't really get a benefit from Medicare when they're overseas. No reason to have it.
Yes. And we just got a question from the audience. Dee has asked, why doesn't Medicare recognize AFSPA group insurance once retired?
I'm not sure that I understand that question. I think once you retire, assuming you're enrolled in Medicare, Medicare becomes your primary payer for services covered by Medicare, whether you have A and or B. And then your foreign service benefit plan is the secondary payer for those services. So I would love to be able to answer this a little bit better. I'm just not sure that I understand what instance it was that Medicare didn't recognize FSBP. Medicare would still be a primary payer once you're retired and enrolled in Medicare, and FSBP secondary. I think we got the IRMA upcharge. Yes. That's fine. Yeah. So here's the deal with the IRMA. The IRMA is the income related monthly adjustment amount. This is assessed based on your income. Your enrollment in another, when it comes to Part B, not talking about Part D for drugs, but when it comes to Part B, your enrollment in a group health plan as a retiree doesn't have an impact on Part B. If you want Part B, you're going to pay for it, and you're going to pay for it based on the Medicare premiums, including the IRMA, that are the result of your income 2 years prior. So 2025 premiums are based on your 2023 income. And yes, they can be expensive depending on what your income was. There's no requirement to have Part B, and we do see a large percentage of our membership don't take Part B partly because of the IRMA. is a group health plan that allows you to delay your enrollment in Part B when you're receiving it through active employment. I'm happy to follow up with you directly, Dee. You can send us an email. We'd be happy to engage with you. But getting a benefit through having group health insurance as a retiree benefit is very clear in the Medicare regulations. Doesn't qualify you to delay your enrollment in Part B to avoid the IRMA or anything like that. So happy to follow up one-on-one on that, but or save it for March.
All right. I am going to ask a question that Michael has submitted. And they asked, do you know if OPM continues to pay a portion of the AFSPA fee after 65?
Yes. I'm sorry. I was trying to answer that before. Yeah. Yes. The OPM, as long as you are eligible, it sounds like you are, based on the earlier question, to continue your insurance after retirement, and to keep that benefit, and this is a decision of your HR and then your retirement office. Yes, after turning 65 doesn't affect it. It's active duty versus retired. Your age at 65, unless there's something specific coming from your retirement office that gives you that impression, doesn't change that. I know it's a big milestone, especially when it comes to benefits under the federal government. Doesn't make a difference here. If you had retired age 61, you continued your health insurance, government's been continuing to pay for it. Turning 65, in this case, luckily doesn't have an impact on that. You should continue. It's a great question for your retirement office, but I would anticipate their answer will be no, they will continue paying their percentage of the premium.
All right. And we did get a question from the audience, but I'm going to tie it into another question that was submitted through our forum. So we had a question asking, trying to find the question. So sorry. It's about massages and our alternative benefits. And so I was wondering, Kyle, if you could explain some of our alternative benefits and then specifically how to submit a massage claim.
Sure. This is it's a great question. It's also a frequent question. And I am delighted that people are using this really most popular benefit that we offer. So here's the deal. We need the same elements for a massage claim that we need for any other claim, which is to say the provider's name, the provider's address, a list itemized as much as possible of the services provided, the cost for each service, the date the services were provided, and your identifying information. That's the main information we need. Also, I will say, in the U.S. and in other countries where massage therapists are licensed, we need the license number. In the U.S., a tax ID or license number will suffice, but we need that information. And part of this is, we are reviewing these claims. We are also under review sometimes. We undergo claims reviews and so forth. So what does that mean? I see. Is the receipt from the massage provider enough that just shows the amount of the transaction? No. And we run into this frequently, that I'm really glad you're asking this question. You have a cash receipt or a credit card receipt that just says, maybe it says, massage place and $100. That's not enough, because we can't confirm that is a covered service. They could offer other services there. Particularly if it's a spa of some kind. We need something that says specifically, this is that you received a 60-minute Swedish style massage on January 30th, and the cost was $100. That's what we need. Provider's name, provider's address, and then your information. And we are actually in the process of finalizing a specific form in the member portal for members to submit just massage claims.
Yep.
It's going to ask for those elements just so that we've got them up front, but we need that even when you're overseas. So I'm really glad that you asked this. Yeah.
And Kyle, how many massages do we offer per year?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. 50.
Yes. And
per person, per covered person. It's not 50 for the family and you got to share them. It's 50 for every member of the family. And I think I know what your next question is, but go ahead and ask it.
And how much do we cover?
$75 per massage.
Yep.
And before the question comes in, no, we cannot offer a lump sum of money for massages and you just draw down from that. We offer 50 massages, $75 per massage.
Yes. And definitely, and we do the same for chiropractic.
I'm sorry, late breaking news, or at least I'm late to the news. Let me put it that way. The massage claim form is live in the portal.
Yay! That
So
is
if
great
you have a
news.
massage claim, go in there. We'll ask you for the elements that we need. And we look forward to that and processing those claims and relieving your stress, relieving any kind of chronic pain or acute pain you might be experiencing. Go get those massages.
Yes.
Or acupuncture is your thing. Get
Mm-hmm.
that.
Exactly. And we're talking about the portal, so I thought we'd ask a question from James. He submitted a question and said, "My spouse joined AFSPA as a family member. Can she create her own account on the AFSPA website, or does she have to log on using my credentials?"
So I think officially I'm supposed to say, well, no, she shouldn't log on with your credit. Anyway,
Right.
there's one account in the AFSPA portal for the family as of right now. We're looking at other options for the future, but right now there's one account for for each enrollment. And so if your spouse is enrolled under your membership, she's your dependent on your health plan, it is only your account. So if you choose to share your login information with her so she can access that, that's at your discretion. But when it comes to like the Aetna Secure Member website or the Express Scripts website, you each have your own accounts on those sites. But the member portal is just one account per family.
Yes. All right. We're going to jump back into Medicare. If my wife and I have complex medical conditions, what would you recommend for health insurance? What parts of Medicare would cover everything that my normal FSBP plan covers?
Oh, that's a great question. And as a preview for Medicare March, I'll refer you. I have not updated the video yet for 2025. That is coming, but we do have a Medicare and FEHB video from 2024 on our YouTube page, and you may already be on the YouTube page. You can find it there in the video library, one of our most popular. I would encourage you. Medicare A is hospital insurance, Medicare and inpatient insurance to essentially, and Medicare B is going to cover your other needs. So your doctor's appointments, labs, imaging, even professional services when you're in the hospital from the doctors, or if you're there on observation care and so forth. It's a personal decision for each person, and some of it depends on what your current medical condition to be, what the future is going to be based on your family history. And then the other thing is also, if you've got doctors you're seeing right now and you want to continue seeing them, it's worth checking how they operate with Medicare. Are they participating? Are they non-participating? Are they opt-out? And that makes a big difference. I'm not going to go into all of that today. It's in the video. We'll talk about it in March more. But and I'm also happy to talk one-on-one. We do counseling for Medicare, and when people are looking at those decisions, to try to figure out what's best for them, whether Medicare makes sense, Medicare combined with your FEHB, I mean, a Medicare Advantage, or even not having Medicare, as our friend overseas was mentioning earlier. That makes sense for them. The Medicare is not going to cover you outside the U.S.
And we got a great question from Alicia. They said, "I didn't hear you mention Maven as a platform that you all use. Could you speak a little on it?"
Gotta remember that. Thank you so much, Alicia. And I don't even think Alicia works for Maven.
I know.
I thank you so much, and I am so sorry for forgetting that. Maven Clinic is an online clinic that in particular provides. I just got a note. We had them on for AFSPA Live last February, so you can go back and check that out. But it's an online clinic that provides support for particularly women and families, and it is care. It is a telehealth platform. It's covered at 100%. They can provide support throughout your life, ages and stages, all of them there. Again, particularly for women, whether you're looking at preconception planning, infertility treatment, and advising maternity, even early parenthood, including some pediatric support and return to work coaching and sleep coaching for you and for the kids, and even beyond that into perimenopause and menopause and so forth. It is available worldwide. This is a fantastic program. We need to use more. I hope our members do start using more.
Yeah.
I got to remember to promote it so that people do know it's out there. So thank you, Alicia. But yeah, please check that out. I think we can get a link up there in just a minute with the contact information. But it is Maven Clinic. It is available to FSBP members again worldwide. I think they are officially operating in more than 170 countries, and that's growing every day. And they can also provide advice in other areas that aren't technically covered medical benefits. It's a whole platform and program that we are proud to offer to our members.
Absolutely. And like Kyle said, if you are on our YouTube page right now watching, you can go to the folder we have, or playlist of AFSPA Live, and we have the AFSPA Live with Maven. They're great. And of course, we have more information about them on our website. And I'm going to ask a question. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about the Foreign Service Benefit Plan being our health plan.
Sure.
And then you can be an AFSPA member without having the health plan, because we offer other things underneath the AFSPA membership. And Kyle, I think I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the travel insurance we offer, because we did get some questions from people asking. They asked, does FSBP cover medical care if you're out of the country, for instance, Cancun, Mexico, Italy, Germany? Are emergency room visits / urgent care covered? I know they specifically asked FSBP, but
that's okay. We'll cover both. And I appreciate that folks are sticking with us for a little bit longer. This is great.
Yes.
So first of all, yes, FSBP provides you with comprehensive coverage worldwide. So even if you are on vacation or TDY or whatever outside the US, you've got the same coverage per the terms of the brochure. Got to put that in there that you have in the US. So that does cover you. But to Maddie's point, and I'll just specifically address, yes, emergency room visits are covered. Urgent care, not typically a level of care you find in most countries outside the United States. But we have a handful of partners around the world that do have urgent care centers. But if you want some additional protection, or if you're overseas and family or friends are coming to visit you, you might want to consider travel insurance. It does provide additional coverage for things like, yes, lost luggage, lost prescriptions or eyeglasses, in some cases, even trip cancellation. But it does provide some, those are obviously things that FSBP does not cover. But we'll also provide them with friends and family with medical care outside the United States, because if they have an HMO, or as we keep going back to, Medicare doesn't cover them outside the United States. So that might be something to consider. Travel insurance also provides coverage for things that FSBP doesn't, that you may consider to be health care related. So for instance, if you get sick or in an accident or injured overseas and you want to come home, you're on a tour, you can't come back with the tour because you're in the hospital, something like that, they can provide that transportation back to your point of origin, and sometimes transportation for a partner, a friend, companion, somebody to go with you to make sure you get that. They can also, in some cases, provide evacuation if in the event of an emergency. And I don't want to be grim, but there's also repatriation of remains should the unthinkable happen when you're on a trip. And that is not something that health insurance would pay for. So you can check things out at afspa.org/travel to see the /AIP/travel, to see the range of options that we have, and find something that works for you. We've got 4 different plans now that you should be able to find something that meets your needs.
Yes. And just to kind of elaborate a little bit more on that, we also have plans for life insurance, obviously. And then we have dental plans as well. If you're looking for a dental plan, especially if you're looking for one overseas, we have plans for that. So definitely check out our ancillary insurance programs that we offer through AFSPA membership, and be on the lookout for an open enrollment in the future as well for one. I'll keep that a surprise. And let's make sure we did get a question saying, how much does FSBP cover for emergency evacuation coverage? I don't know if you know that off the top of your head.
I do. If we're talking about emergency evacuation in the event of, like, the State Department, the embassy says, get out of the country, as is happening in or has been happening in Congo and so forth, that is not something that your health insurance pays for, whether FSBP or another health insurance. We pay for officially, per the terms of brochure, if you are experiencing an accidental injury or a medical emergency and require ambulance services, we pay for transportation to the nearest facility equipped to handle what your needs are. But that could be the hospital down the road. In certain certain circumstances that might include an air ambulance, but not in all. But it does not include sort of for natural disasters or acts of terrorism or war. There's not coverage under your Foreign Service Benefit Plan for evacuation related to those sorts of circumstances.
Yes. And I will end on this last question. I just had it and now I cannot find it. Last year we opted out of the new Aetna pharmaceutical plan, the PDP plan. Are any changes in drug coverage pending later in 2025 or in 2026?
All right, I feel like Eric is our plant is asking questions
I know,
on topics
I know.
we wanna cover. So Eric, thank you so much for this question. So a lot of our members, a good number of our members who are age 65 and older, receiving their benefits through a retirement benefit, their FSBP coverage, and have Medicare A and or B, decided we did auto enrollment for 2024 in our FSBP Express Scripts Medicare Prescription Drug Plan, or as we call it, the PDP. Good number of members chose to opt out of that. Fewer than I anticipated, actually, but a good number chose to opt out of that coverage for reasons related to IRMA, for reasons feeling like they didn't know what it was, so they wanted to wait and so forth. Fully respect that. Absolutely your choice. I would encourage people who did opt out to take another look for 2025 because there are some changes that came about and that are still in place. I want to be clear about that right now, related to Medicare prescription drug coverage, including a $2,000 out-of-pocket cap on prescription drugs. Now that sounds like a lot of money, and you may be thinking, I don't take that many drugs. It's not going to. I never pay anything near that. Good calculation. You're thinking in the right direction. But the other thing is that the calculation in some cases will include some of the contribution from the health plan toward that out-of-pocket cost. So if you're taking a specialty medication or you're taking multiple brand name drugs, you may find that this makes sense for you because your out-of-pocket cost, the actual copay that you pay for prescription drugs, is going to be equal to or less than what you pay under the high option. You have access to a greater network of pharmacies. You can get your maintenance medications by home delivery or from any participating network pharmacy in the PDP network. So even if you couldn't get a maintenance drug under high options, just home delivery, CVS or Walgreens typically, but maybe you like going to the local pharmacy and they're in network with the PDP, you can get your maintenance drugs there, but only under the PDP. So you've got more options there, and you have these additional price protections that are in place. So I encourage you to take a look at it, consider how much you're paying in drugs and the savings that could be there. Weigh that against any IRMA for the Part D plan and make your decision from there. The other thing I will say is that you can opt into the PDP at any time throughout the year. And if you find that it doesn't work for you, you can opt out as well and come back to the high option coverage.
All right. And if you also just want to say, if you submitted a question and it maybe wasn't online or you submitted it to the form, if it was had too much personal health information or was something specifically to do with claims, don't you worry. We sent those to our research team and you should be hearing from someone if you haven't already. We do read every question, I promise. And if it's something that we can help with, we try to make sure that it gets handled. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And then I have lied. I said that that was the last question, but we did get a question from Timothy that I thought we should ask. It says, Aetna abruptly stopped working with the Providence Network in the state of Oregon on January 1st. Is AFSPA aware? And if so, is it communicating the negative impact on members to Aetna?
Okay. I appreciate this. And I saw an earlier question also about possible changes in,
Yes.
I think, New Mexico it was. So this, we are informed when there are changes in particularly large provider groups that stop participating in the Aetna network. We also do get information about the member impact, and if members are currently receiving care or have had care from a provider in that provider group, they should also be informed, assuming, and I want to put this out there, assuming that Aetna and therefore FSBP had adequate notice. I have run into situations where providers in February a couple years ago said, I'm not going to participate in the network anymore. Their network agreement, they had signed a contract to participate in the network through May or June. And we were able to work with them and press them to honor the contract. And this one, I don't have the details in front of me, so I don't want to say anything specific about this. We also are increasingly seeing provider groups nationwide sort of stopping participation even while negotiations are still ongoing for participating in the network, or sending early notification to patients saying, hey, you should contact your health insurance group to tell them you want to continue to have access because they don't want to work with us anymore. The reality is somewhere in between. I got to be honest with you. Yes, Aetna is negotiating to continue the provider contracts in a lot of these situations. They're also trying to keep prices down for patients. Providers are, of course, trying to stay in business and keep their be able to pay their providers and so forth. So we're trying to find a middle site. Unfortunately, yes, the patient does sometimes get caught in the middle. And if you are experiencing a loss of a provider, if it's, you say January 1, we do have provisions in place for continuity of care. Again, we should have contacted you if you were currently receiving care from a provider. But if that is not the case, you're welcome to contact us. You can reach out to us. We can provide you some information and look into that and have one of our nurse care managers contact you for coordinating care with either another in-network provider or working with an out-of-network provider in an ongoing way. So I appreciate you raising this. It is the reality in that we're living in, that there are a lot of changes coming with providers. Most part, though, even where I've seen sort of this hard negotiation stance, I think in all the instances, the providers have continued in the network, but that remains to be seen in each circumstance. So thank you very much for that question.
Yes. And I believe that'll be all the questions for today. Thank you for attending the first AFSPA Live of 2025. I'm going to roll off some events we have coming up and where you can find us. We released 2 podcast episodes this month. If you have some more questions about how to be an AFSPA member or how to make the best of it, we did a podcast episode earlier this month. You can find that on all of your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, wherever, and listen to that. And then we also just released one this Monday about the pilot program in Japan. And no, we are not talking about airplanes. We are talking about a program for members in Japan to have access to healthcare. And be sure to listen to that. It was a really great episode. And obviously, we have our entire catalog. So if you're new to the FSBP plan, please listen to those episodes. It's so easy to search them up on our YouTube page or our podcast page. You name a topic, we've probably done it. So definitely look out for those. And then exciting news, we have our annual member meeting in March, on March 7th. That's a Friday. And it is from 11 to 1:30, I believe. And it's a hybrid. So if you're not in the DC area, because we are having it at our DC office in downtown, you can attend virtually. And we will have a keynote speaker. We're going to have AFSPA employees on the side, making sure to answer questions internally through our chat, and also having employees on site to answer your questions as well. So be sure to attend that, especially if you're a new member or you just want to know about the potential changes of coming up, or, what's going on with AFSPA. So be sure to look out for that. Our next live will be February 27th. I think it's the last Thursday of the month regardless. So yes, we will be there 11 a.m. Eastern time. So definitely be sure to check out the podcast, our YouTube page with all the podcast episodes, all the AFSPA Live episodes. The famous Medicare Pay video that we keep talking about is there. So if you're wondering how to navigate Medicare, Kyle has a video for you. Trust us. And otherwise, we have Prudential webinars happening each month. So definitely check out the AFSPA.org/events page, because that's where everything will be. trying to speed run to make sure we cover everything. If you're not reading the CEO message,
Very impressive. Yes.
Thank you. Read the CEO message. That's where Kyle will put any updates, especially newer ones that we can get out to the members. If you're not subscribed to our emails, please subscribe to our emails. We love sending them to you. Otherwise, Kyle?
I'll just say, please, right now, as there may be changes coming as the result of changes from the administration, and any guidance that we receive and how we'll implement it, we will pass that along. So please do watch our social channels, check the newsfeed on our website, and yes, do subscribe to those emails. Check your member portal account to make sure that we've got the best email for you, whether it's your work email or, as is more often the case, your personal email, so we don't get blocked by government servers.
Right.
Make sure that's up there. But we will be in touch, and we look forward to talking to you again next month. Thanks, Maddie.
Of course. Have a good Thursday, everyone, and we will see you next month.
Thanks for watching our broadcast. Join us again the last Thursday of every month at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget to look for AFSPA Cares on all of our social media channels: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook,